What's going on, YouTubers, Mopar people? This is Mopar Man 1978 out here. Finally getting a break from today's extreme heat. Looks like we might be getting a storm here in a few minutes, thank God. Cool things off. We desperately need the rain for the area. Stuff's, I don't know if you can hear that. The grass is crunchy. But wanted to give you an update on Project Black Panther. I was going to say Black Panthers. Project Black Widow. As you can see, it's taken me a while because we do have the heat here, but Missouri has a real big problem during the summertime with a lot of humidity. So even though we're up to proper painting temps, the humidity is playing a factor on how fast this paint will dry. Well, it's been 2 or 3 days since I got this painted. I got the fenders painted, the fender flare, factory fender flare. Finally got the hood painted. Like I said, this is not going to be like a show quality type Jeep. This is going to be a... And the mosquitoes are starting to come out gradually now. Anyway, finally got the hood painted. Got the hourglass painted on the hood. Got the header panel painted. Got the Jeep letterings cleaned up. Took the trim bezel out, the headlight bezel, whatever you want to call it. The old side markers that were falling apart and cracked. Took those out. The turn signal housing is out because the lens popped off, and I will have to take that inside and re-glue it and let the glue set up for about a day and a half, even though I'm using Gorilla Super Glue. Anyway, got the grill all nicely painted, let that dry for 2 or 3 days. It's all blacked out, real nice. Like I said, same thing on this side, had to take at least, but this one is still intact, so I don't have to worry about that. Got the trim corners painted, and as you can see, I got this fender all painted as well. Then we'll gradually work baby steps, doors, both doors, and then the second set of doors, and then I'll do the roof first, and then I'll work my way to the back panel, the lower quarter panel, and then the back hatch. But also, you guys might notice in the comment sections during the live chats with Uncle Tony and whatnot that I always make little movie quotes or comments, joking around. Of course, my comments are not necessarily trying to be a smart ass or anything when I post a comment, but I like different movies. I like saying movie quotes, you know, anything from Big Trouble in Little China to whatever. You know, growing up in the 80s, I also was a fan of as a kid, a lot of different 80s movies, which brings me to the windshield, the sun blocker that I found on the internet. Decided to put that in this black Jeep because it's fitting. The movie has a black Jeep in it, maybe not this exact Jeep, but as you can see, the Goonies. Sloth is driving the Jeep, then you got One-Eyed Willie, and then you got all the kids hanging out in the back seat. Thought that was pretty cool. Couldn't pass that up, so I got that. And for my mom's white Jeep, this is also my mom's black Jeep, so I'm doing this for my mom. Not just because she owns it, because she's my mom, but anyway. But we're all fans of the same type of movies and whatnot and stuff, but figured have something comical and cool at the same time to dress the Jeep up when it's not being driven. But anyway, like I said, the other thing too is this is coming off. This is going to be repainted, and while I have this off, I got permission from my mom. I explained to her the benefits and what I'm doing. Since we don't know if the factory air cleaner box is put away in the storage shed somewhere, buried, but it was leaking anyway. The plastic was bowing in and the filter was falling in on it. It was just a piece of junk. But anyway, we wanted to put, since it's 4-wheel drive and the white Jeep is only a rear-wheel drive Jeep, and we're not planning to do any off-roading in that, in the case of we do some off-roading, or maybe we need to go through some water to go fishing, or somewhere to go, I don't know, wherever, since this is 4-wheel drive. And these engine bays get really hot in these Jeeps. It's supposed to be temperature 210 operating temperature, but they get a lot hotter during the summertime, and they've been known to overheat. I'm going to be doing some videos on how to fix that problem. But what we're going to do is I'm going to take this old factory flex induction hose off. It's cracking and falling apart. And instead of going and wasting a bunch of money on a eBay part, or possibly finding a new one and spending a lot of money, I'm going to, it's got a thick steel plate with a rubber gasket. Take the rubber gasket off. I'm going to cut this hose off and get all the rubber out of there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind around this half circled piece, and then it's square, it's flat straight across. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find an elbow for like an exhaust pipe, or maybe like a furnace exhaust pipe for like propane powered furnaces, or a hot water heater that you put in your home like at Menards or something. I'm going to fabricate a metal elbow, or I'll buy the metal elbow, but I'm going to weld it to the plate, and then from there I'm going to use maybe that galvanized air duct work for the exhaust on that stuff. But it's what it's going to do is it's going to come over, basically come over here, elbow, and go straight over, and you cut a hole either here or right here. I'll have to look in there and see what's all behind this, but it's supposed to be hollow in there. You take one of those big circular hole cutters for like metal or whatever, and cut this out. But what you want to do is you can't just come in here, but you got to come in at a straight and at an angle and cut this, start cutting this where it's got to be almost oval shaped for the piping to fit in there correctly. Anyway, and then you put like that little trim that goes along to dress up your doors, that little trim that goes around that, kind of like this stuff here, but plastic. That will be put around the lip, like a black piece will go around the lip to keep it up from cutting in. Anyway, once you take this panel off, we're going to buy a small cone-shaped air cleaner, like a Canon air cleaner or something like that, to put in here. Then it'll face this way. And the cool thing about this is this whole section here, it looks like it's just a regular screened area for air to come in. Well, this whole side is actually blocked off. Down inside here, where the rainwater drains out, is a little rubber snorkel or something that pops up off the top of the panel, and that's for like some fresh air induction to go into the heater box. Well, this whole other screen over here on the driver's side is the one where all the fresh air comes in. And so what we're doing is we're going to be doing basically like a poor man's version of like the snorkels that go up the side of the Jeep, but it's going to be over here, and it's going to be out of sight. And then since this gets fresh air coming in, it's kind of like a when the wind comes in, gets sucked down in here, bounces off the windshield, goes in, kind of like the backwards Chevy scoops. I can't remember the name of them right off the top of my head. I should. All these years I should know what it's called. Anyway, the fresh air will go down in here and go that way and be sucked in by the air filter from when the engine's running. And I might even put, depending on how the wiper arm moves up and down, and because I could see when the hood is open that it comes back over the top of the panel a little bit, I might put a miniature 3-inch wide air scoop to help collect air, even more air coming in, especially when the vehicle's running down the road, to help push air in there. Anyway, But anyway, that's that'll be eventually what'll happen later on. I got still, like I said in the previous video, I got some odds and ends mechanical work to do in here. But let's take you around. This has factory air conditioning, and I'm going to be putting a aftermarket transmission cooler in here. I got to reroute the see, it's got the factory line that bolts right into the side of the factory radiator. So I'm going to have to fabricate something to go through. The fluid's going to go into the radiator first, then circulate into the exterior cooler, and then back into the transmission. I'll be doing some of that stuff. I'll be putting an aftermarket overflow tank here to hook up to the port coming off this aftermarket. See, I did try. See, the last video I had this up on top, and now I'm going to try to see how it works in here. And then if I have to, I'm going to use a couple of radiator clamps, one on each side, to make sure this water neck stays up and doesn't keep moving around. Anyway, but yeah, just some odds and ends of crap. We got to get the Jeep all cleaned out. It's been used as somewhat of a storage. Here's the transmission coolers. Haven't decided which one I want to go with yet. This one, this was a hell of a score from the junkyard. It's a Hayden, made in Australia cooler. I might put this on the Jeep. I don't know yet. Might save it for the Dart. I haven't decided. Here's that turn signal lens I got to glue back on. Here's the old factory chrome one, and I guess the other one's just flat black. So, and then here's the old nasty turn signal or side marker lenses. Anyway, as you can see, it's I told my mom what she needed. She gave me the cards. I ordered the parts to fix their Jeep. We had a fan shroud that was, the top half was busted off, so we got a new one of these from a separate, can't remember if that came from Parts Geek or wherever. Anyway, ordered that online. That showed up about yesterday, the day before. And the weird thing about Rock Auto is you order all these parts at the same time, but the radiator shows up 3 days later. The headlight bezels show up like 2 days later. They don't ever all come in the same box. It's really stupid. And then the thing that pisses me off is, like, they see how big this box is. This box is about almost 3 feet wide by almost a foot tall. They sent one of these wrapped up in foam, in a foam sheet, in that big entire box, and they had plenty of room to put the side markers in there. Anyway, they'll try to say, oh, it's coming from a different manufacturer, whatnot. Anyway, got these brand new headlight bezels. Okay, now here's something I wanted to talk about, because it's been mentioned a lot about people getting in arguments about the crap made over in China, whatnot. Okay, yeah, it's inferior parts, because I'll give you an example. Here's a factory side marker lens. Okay. All right. Now look. You put this on the factory part. What does it do? Goes right in, no problem, right? You take one of the new ones. The fucker won't even fit in the factory one, and it won't even fit in the new one. Look at that. You can't even get it in there. You have to grind off all this excess casting, all this other shit that they should have cut off from the factory, or they should have had pre-measured from the factory to fit in there. No modification. Should just go right in there. Which I'm not, I'll modify it so it fits, but the problem is it should, if this was made in America, you wouldn't have that issue. Anyway, got a radiator. Of course, this isn't like the factory one. The factory one was, surprisingly, it was an actual brass core radiator, which is probably a lot better for transferring heat. This is aluminum. This will do. We got the hood latch cable assembly that I need to install so we can put the hood down. But yeah, just a few things. One thing I was going to tell you too about the great fan shroud debate. I'll either use them or I won't use them. My Dart doesn't have one. My truck doesn't have one. They used to have them. I ran them on there for a while until I watched a video or read an article about an aerophysicist or something that studies airflow or whatever it is. They said that as long as you have your fan within inch, 2 inch, 3 inches of the back of the radiator, you know, the gap, you're fine. But if it's any further than that, then you might want to extend the blades out, or you might want to get an actual fan shroud. But if you're going to use a fan shroud, even on a stock application, what I found out from this guy, they said when the fan is running, if you don't have a fan shroud on here, when you or when you have right here, somewhere, an inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, whatever, out past the blade, when the blade is running, the fan's running, there is an invisible vortex that rotates the wind. The wind's going this way, but right here there's an invisible vortex. They said they've done this in an like one of them wind tunnels where they shoot the smoke or whatever it is in through there, and they actually saw a little vortice spinning on each side of the fan. Now they said that when you run the fan shroud, it actually restricts some horsepower. You take the fan shroud off and it frees up the horsepower, depending on, you know, I mean, it'll free up a little bit. Maybe not enough that you can actually feel, but anyway. So what I did to the squad car, my buddy's squad car from the Dukes of Hazzard, and I did to another vehicle, was since this is the top of the fan shroud, and it had I came in here and cut off a section here in this section here, so this whole piece left and this whole piece left, but this upper part still bolts to the top of the radiator, and the bottom half still bolts to the radiator without flopping around. Anyway, or then if you're worried about it flopping around, you can buy one of them little kits that's got the external transmission cooler zip tie type things in a pack of 4. Anyway, you can put that up there, just make sure it's anchored. Anyway, that way it still frees up the horsepower, but you're still using a fan shroud, and it allows the airflow to circulate around the edge of the blades. Doing all my research, I found that the clutch fans are the best. They have a stock clutch fan, and then they have one for racing applications. When the engine's sitting there, most of you already know this, but for the newbies, they don't. When the engine is sitting there idling, this fan's blowing at max capacity. When the RPMs on the engine kick up, the clutch fan doesn't affect the engine's horsepower. It actually lets the power, it lets the engine be free and doesn't restrict. Anyway, I've got a clutch fan on my truck without a fan shroud, and I'm probably going to put one on the Dart for a slant 6, and then I might even put, and then when I get the V8 I'll put a clutch fan on there too. But I know on the Project Undertaker, the hearse, we're going to run the factory upper half of the fan shroud, just in that way, in case. I mean, what the other cool thing about the clutch fans is when the engine's running, if you happen to get your finger down here, the blade will actually stop while the engine's still, the pulleys are still spinning. Now, if you had a regular flex fan or a regular fan blade, the fan blade might bust your finger or actually cut your finger off. Anyway, but yeah, just wanted to talk to you about that stuff. The great fan shroud debate. Anyway, if you have any questions, comments, whatever, let me know in the comment section. Whether it be the Jeep or any of my projects that I'm working on, let me know. And hope you guys enjoyed the video.